Sorry about that. It looks like I had a little audio glitch there. Thanks for bringing that up, technical. Hello and welcome to the session. Today we're continuing to look at bringing OAuth connectivity to Astrocasts. So far we've been looking at Twitch at the app level. The main reason we have this set up is for being able to update the metadata for this channel with the metadata from the actual objects in our database at the time that a stream goes live. We looked at a model for the app level stuff, and that is this entity here. It's the app OAuth credentials. And there should be exactly one row in our database for each of these types. So there should be a Twitch type, a YouTube type, and a Facebook type. And so the only unique key really is here, since these are going to be across the application as a whole. If we look at the user level stuff, once we get to that, assuming we actually continue on with that, those will actually be unique per user per type. But right now, the app level model is just going to be for each individual type of connection. We do have a command, Twitch publish metadata command, that we're using the session repository to find the current or upcoming session, whichever one is first. And then we want to update Astrocast information based on that. So this should fail. What we have now is Twitch API update channel title. What that is doing behind the scenes is getting the Twitch API for the app using the app configuration. We're getting the OAuth credentials specifically for Twitch. And then we are using the Twitch API to update the channel using the access token. The problem is that I know this access token should be expired. So calling this outright should give us an error. So I'm going to run that just to see what it looks like, but that's sort of what's going on here. At the end of the last session, I did a little bit of pseudocode here to show sort of an idea of what we have to do instead. We're going to have to do Twitch API refresh token to get the refresh token, or using the refresh token to get a refreshed token. But I don't know what that looks like. So we'll have to try it out and see what it's actually going to do. So let's go ahead and look in the database real quick, so we can take a look at what this table actually looks like currently. So let's go ahead. There we go. So we're looking at the Astrocasts. Astrocasts tables app OAuth credentials. So here we have the access token. We can see that this expired on November 30th. So again, this is outdated. Here's our refresh token. I don't know how long this refresh token is good for. So this is going to be a fun little experiment. So we're going to go ahead and run this now. We're going to run bin console app Twitch publish metadata. Let's see if that's the name of the command. So it didn't actually give me any output, which is not what I would have expected. So let's go see what Twitch shows us here. No, it didn't do anything. So this probably failed silently. So this underlying API that we're using probably didn't actually give us an exception, which is what I sort of assumed when I wrote this pseudocode. So let's go ahead and do return value, and then let's see if we can print the return value. Just so we can get a better idea of what's going on here. All right, so we get an error message, invalid OAuth token. So what we can do then is look at this to try and figure out how we actually want to behave. So ideally what we're going to want to do now is let's see if the return value here is specified. Returns an array or JSON. So we're always going to have, let's see here. So it should be throwing an exception at some point, but it's not. So this is where we need to figure out what's going on here. So this is send request, response body. Okay, so it's not actually doing anything interesting here. It's just returning the content as JSON decode. Okay. So what we can do then is go back to our update channel title and say if I think we'll go specifically with this. So if RV, let's see, it was status. RV, well, we'll do RV status equals 401. Actually, I'm going to do this instead. So if we get a 401, we're going to do something different. So we're going to say need refresh, just to make sure that we're actually parsing this information correctly. And let's just return at that point. All right, so we need refresh. So the end goal here is that I don't want to have to duplicate this code. So if we do manage to refresh this code, say everything works as expected, I don't want to have to duplicate this code in here, like in whatever else block is happening. So I want to find a way eventually to sort of have this stuff handled in one spot, and then it just does it again after it refreshes the token. So if we need to do a refresh, I want to just see what we get. This might make things a little confusing or a little complicated, because once this refresh happens, if it's successful, we are going to lose the ability to test this. Unless we, no, because we're going to lose the ability to test this. So we'll do refresh equals, and then, and the reason we're going to lose that is because it's going to actually give us a brand new token that actually works. In theory, I guess I could probably generate a bunch of these. Well, I would have to have generated a bunch of these like 5 hours ago that we could just play with. So let's see here, refresh. My hope is that it gives us the same response or the same values that we got when we originally created this object. Okay, cool. So refresh comes back with a new access token, a new expires in, and a channel error. So let's see if I can do this again, or if it's going to give me an error. Ah, cool. That's actually awesome. So it looks like I can use this refresh token as much as I want. So this is going to make our job a little bit easier. Okay, so this is going to fail. So I'm going to move this bit of code here into a private method. So we'll do public function, oh no, private function, sorry. And we'll do update channel title. And we'll do title. And I think we'll probably pass in a Twitch API as well. Looks like I need to import this. All right. OAuth credentials, fine for Twitch. This is the part that we are doing. So let's copy this and return Twitch API update channel. And I guess it looks like we'll need the app OAuth credentials as well. App OAuth credentials. All right, so if we pass all of this in, this object, or this function now can be called multiple times without having to duplicate the work here. So the trick is now that we need to be able to detect this value. So we're going to do this do update, and we're going to pass in Twitch API, app OAuth credentials, and the title we want. If that happens, we need to refresh the token and then do it again. So we're going to do app OAuth credentials, and we'll do set access token to the value that we get back. So the other thing I'm going to do now is go look at our controller, because when we first built the controller that originally connected these things together, it had already become pretty clear that we were going to have to sort of do something different with this, because we're essentially doing the same thing here. We're doing similar things, so it would be better probably to have this in a service of some sort, but I don't think we actually get that. I don't think we can actually do that right now. So for now, we're just going to do some more copy and paste. So we're going to copy this section, and let's see here. All right, so we are going to get this from refresh now. So we'll get refresh expires in token type, token, refresh token in scope, and then we set the expires at. So this should be enough now to get the token updated to the point where it should actually work. So what I should be able to do now is do this same thing again, and it should work the second time. So we'll say updated RV or refreshed RV. So we're going to use the same Twitch API instance, but we're going to pass it, and we're going to pass it the same app OAuth credentials, but they now have the updated token information in them. And what I'm going to do is say if refreshed RV. So we're going to do the same check we did here. So status and is set message. Is that right? Yeah, so what we got back for refreshed RV didn't have a status and a message. So what we end up with is knowing that if refreshed RV has that information, that it's an error. So we aren't going to do anything at this point. And we'll do dd refreshed RV. Otherwise, the thing that we should do is save this change. So we're making changes to the object we got from our repository, but we actually need to flush those changes. So if we look at the Twitch controller, we're doing object manager flush. That will make sure that the changes we make to this object will actually propagate. We don't have the object manager though, so we need to add that. So we're going to add the object manager. So this is Doctrine's object manager. This is the thing that keeps track of what's actually in the database, or handles the management of writing updates. So we'll do object manager is this one here. So we are going to then need to add that to our constructor as well so that it gets passed in. I need object manager. Awesome. Okay, so I think we have all of the bits that we need here. So it's going to return this value. I'm going to remove this try block just so that this is at the right level that we expect. Okay, so let's walk through this real quick. So if we get a 401 status, we need to actually try to refresh the token. At that point, we use the refresh value to get the information that we need to out of it. Actually, I need to check this first. Refresh, because refresh itself might come back with an error. There we go. Put that back down there. Because basically this can fail at any of these spots. So it can fail at this level, and it can fail again here. So if we initially get a 401 error, what we need to do is try to refresh the token. If that errors, we'll have to figure out what to do. Otherwise, we need to update our token with the information we get from the refresh token call. We're going to try to do the call again. So we're going to do update channel title again, which is what we're doing up here. And then if it fails, we're going to have to do something else. Otherwise, we're going to this object manager flush. So we'll be able to then update the token in the database, so that the next time then it's going to use the refresh token. I'm also going to do Object Manager clear. It's because I'm doing a lot of this stuff in long-running processes, so I want to make sure that it doesn't start to run out of memory if it keeps bringing these objects in. All right, so if I run it again, in theory, it should actually work, unless I've totally messed something up here. Cool. All right, so originally this was our refresh token. Let's go refresh our database. Refresh token is the same. Our access token has now been updated from what we had before. Well, actually, I don't know what we had before, but it has definitely updated. Let's go see if Twitch stream updated. It did. Awesome. Cool. So it's now transparently behind the scenes actually updating this information for us. So what I'm going to do now is try to see if I can force this so that we can continue to try to reproduce this problem. So let's do ddrv, and I'm going to use the same refresh token, but I'm just going to mangle this access token. So I'm going to do like x, just add some value to it. This access token should no longer work, and that should mean that we're going to get a 401 error. Ooh, what's this? Okay, so status. Looks like it actually worked. Update channel. You know what? I didn't actually save this change. There we go. Still a little not used. There we go. So we get 401. So we can actually reproduce this behavior, so we can test to make sure everything is working. All we have to do is keep that same refresh token, but continue to sort of mangle the access token that we have stored. So that's good. I like that. So this is still going to be a lot of code. If we want to do this, say, several times for different methods, like let's say I wanted to update tags or something along those lines eventually, this is a lot of code to have to copy and paste. So we need to find a different way to handle that. So what I think I'd like to do is try to figure out which pieces can be reused. So let's do... let's create a new method called try with reauth, or try with refresh. And we'll do a callback, callable thing to do. So these are the bits that, so we'll do try with refresh, thing to do. The things that we probably need to have here, we'll have access to the Twitch API factory. We'll have access to the OAuth credentials repository. So if we do return this refresh, let's see here. This do update channel. There we go. We need to use title. So now what we need to do is decide whether we want to define these in each time through the callback, or if we want to pass them in. Just for simplicity, I think I'm going to define them each time in the callback. This is probably a little bit overkill, because I don't think we would actually need to do this. Because I think we should be able to reuse the same Twitch API and the same Twitch or app OAuth credentials. But this just makes our code a little bit easier to follow here. Let's see here, void tried with refresh. All right, so I'm just going to not have a return value just yet, because I don't know if we actually need this. We might actually just have exceptions if there's a problem. All right, so we don't need this anymore. But the behavior that we have is here. So we need to be able to get the RV. So let's say, rather than calling a specific function, we actually need to call our callable. So RV equals thing to do. There we go. So we've now replaced something very specific with whatever arbitrary action we actually want to do. So let's go ahead and remove this now. And now we get to do this part. So I'm just going to copy all of this into up here for now. So let's see here. So RV status. I'm going to switch this so that it returns early. So rather than doing something if it's requiring a refresh, I'm going to switch it to just be doing a return right away. So rather than if this, I'm going to say if not. So if it's not going to require us to re-authenticate, we'll just return. So we're doing void, so we don't need to do anything, we just need to be done with this. And then we can bump this all back a level, which makes things a little clearer. I'm going to make this more explicit, so I'm not going to do this. This error, I'm actually going to just throw an error and say throw runtime exception. We'll say update channel title failed after token refresh. So the thing that's happening here that might not be necessarily obvious is that if this token refresh fails, it's not actually going to flush the object. So even though it's changed here, if this fails, it'll still be set in this object. So maybe it would make sense to clear this first in that case. I think I can do remove. This is something I haven't done a lot with, but essentially I don't want this app OAuth credentials object to actually be persisted. If for some reason something else comes along and calls object manager flush, it's going to store the updated refresh token, even though the token doesn't work. So here's the next bit. So we don't actually want to do this specific thing anymore. Instead, we want to do the callable again. So we'll do thing to do. Try with refresh, thing to do. So here we have refresh token. So here is where some of this stuff gets a little more kind of iffy, because we were creating this stuff inside. So we're going to be actually doing this in quite a few places. And the side effect of that is I think that maybe it would make more sense to have these passed in, or at least these things. So let's try that and see what that looks like. So we'll do Twitch API. Twitch API, and then app OAuth credentials, app OAuth credentials. All right. Then we're only going to do this in one spot. So this callback now is expected to send in these values. So let's do that up here. We'll create this. So now we're going to create this inside the try with refresh object. And then we have to pass in Twitch API and app OAuth credentials. And that means we have to do that down here as well. Here we go. I'll just copy this bit that I need. All right, so this, I think it's doing everything that it's supposed to at this point without having to do a lot of things. So our update channel now becomes a little easier in a sense. So we're still having to wrap this the actual work with try with refresh. But the function try with refresh itself does all the work to create the right Twitch API and get the app OAuth credentials object. And then we pass it off to a second function here, but I'm actually wondering if we even need that anymore. I don't even know. I don't think we need this anymore. So we've been able to get rid of this now as well. Let's see here. Because this is still going to only be happening in one place. There we go. Cool. So now things are even more simplified this way. Okay, let's see what we have. Get access credentials. All right, that just needs to be that way. Okay, cool. So I think this is going to work. Let's try it again and see what happens. And let's see if that's... So it actually updated the access token again, which is what we expected. Let's do a little bit of tracing just to make sure. So we'll do to set title to. The first time we should see this just once. Cool. And then let's go ahead and tweak this. Now we should see it twice. Cool. And then do it again, and we only see it once. All right, so I think this logic here appears to be working correctly and doing what we're expecting. So what I'd like to do is have this happen on a cron job every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes, it's going to look to see what is next, and then update the title information. So that's kind of the goal of this one. But we should probably also do other updates as well. So let's see here. If we go into the publish metadata command, if we move this out to an actual command, then we can use it both from the console as well as potentially from other sections as well. So I'm going to try and make this into its own command. So we're going to go to the message directory commands. Let's do message handler command. Event. All right, so that's the command handler. Push stream is online. The online handler here just does something with it. It's not actually doing any event stuff though. You see, this is where the abstractions might be a little not thought out enough here. So let's go to stream push online. Right now we're doing an event bus dispatch, Twitch stream changed. All right, so let's do, does that actually have a value? Huh. Strange. Okay. So stream push online command that dispatches an event. So this was essentially an event. So I think we can probably use this as well. So if we can react based on the Twitch stream changed, I think we'll be in good shape here. So let's go to message handler, event. We'll do a new event. Our new message handler will say, publish Twitch metadata when Twitch stream, was it changed? Yeah, when Twitch stream changed. Okay. Oh, and I should have named it handler. There we go. All right, so when this message comes in, we need to send a command. So we're going to do public, well, implement invoke. Can you have free Blackfire, please? Sadly, no. I don't have free Blackfire. But we do have a discount right now if you're interested in it. So we have, where's it at? Black Friday. I think this is it. So we have a Black Friday discount for Blackfire that goes, I think, through, yeah, December 7th. So there's a little bit of time here. So if you're interested in premium or enterprise, it looks like there's a 20% discount, but no free Blackfire unless you want to use the free version of Blackfire. Everybody actually has access to creating a hack account that gives you free access to doing profiling locally. It's probably not what you were looking for. Totally missed out on the chance to call it Blackfire Day. I'll have to let Christoph know that. I think he might actually appreciate that. Nice. Okay, so let's see if we can get this going here. So to invoke, we want to invoke this when Twitch stream changed. That's an event. And then the thing that we're going to want to do is to issue the command that we would normally have done through Twitch publish metadata command. So we want to do this. So we're going to call this pretty much what we called it here. So we'll do publish Twitch publish metadata, but I'm not going to call it that. I'm going to call the command, let's see here, we'll go into Twitch, and we'll do publish metadata. Push streams offline, bring stream online. All right, and so we'll do and we don't have to do anything here, which is the nice thing, because the message itself is going to be super simple. It doesn't need anything else because there's just one thing that this could possibly mean. So we're going to need a publish metadata command handler. So we're going to do new directory, Twitch, and we're going to call it public, or we're going to call it publish metadata handler. And in this case, we're going to invoke with publish metadata, which is a command, so I can do stuff with it. And then what we had in our command here, this is what we actually want inside the command handler. So we'll do all of this now comes in here, which means we need to get some information that we had on the command originally. So we're going to get some of these dependencies, namely the API Twitch API, or app Twitch API, and the session repository. So we need to get those. Okay. Oh. And session repository, and then we're going to need to create a constructor. Don't need any of this. All right, and then we're going to get a session out of the session repository. So everything here is going to work. So this is exactly what we had before inside the command line tool, except we no longer have this in the command line tool. We don't want this functionality here. So we're going to instead use the command bus. And we go. And then we have to do this part. All right, and then this execute becomes super simple. This command bus dispatch publish metadata. I need to new that though. So if you're new to command buses or commands, this is kind of the idea, is that it makes pieces of code that you would normally have to duplicate in multiple places a little easier to handle because you will no longer have to write it in both places or write a specific service just to handle that particular part of it. At least in my experience, it seems to pair really well with console commands and proper commands coming from like an HTTP layer. So essentially the execute of a command or of a console command is getting the information from input and output to fill whatever the command needs to do its work. Same thing for controllers. You end up just having something looking at the request for input and output to do the same information. So everything inside then becomes very nice and related just to what you're trying to do. So it no longer matters if this is coming from the console command or from a controller. Let's see if we have broken anything. Because so far the only thing we've really done is move things around. So in theory, this command should still work, with the exception that we need to actually consume those messages. So let's go run our consumer console. All right. Ooh. So is that an error? What is that? Yeah. Oh, it's class loader is deprecated. What was using that? Message bus, service locator. I can't tell if that actually means it failed, which isn't very good. Let me go change my live dashboard title. Data information. All right, so I did get this again. It does say it's an error exception. But it did make the change. Let me see if this is something that's easy to track down. August 3rd. The cost will drop. Already up here to change that. Okay, so this looks like this might actually be something that will require me to upgrade my version of Symfony already, which is not a lot of fun. I did notice that now that Symfony 4.2 is out, I think, yeah, Symfony 4.2 has been released, so I should probably update a bunch of things, even though these projects aren't super old. Might be worthwhile updating them. So I think it looks like this is working from here. So the thing that I'd want to do then is hook up the ability to request this command be called when I do the push online command. So we're doing an event bus. So Twitch stream changed. So let's go to handlers, Publish Twitch metadata when stream changed. So here we don't do anything yet. So what we want to do is get the command bus, inject this constructor. All right, so this command bus, and we're going to do the same thing that we did earlier. So anytime the Twitch stream changed, we're going to do a new publish metadata. And so what this push online thing does right now, if we look at astrocast.test, this is what shows whether it's on air or not. Was supposed to happen by webhook, but lately Twitch is just weird. It's not working. Not countable. Twitch stream changed. Line 25. Line 25 is online. Okay. So there's somewhere that I'm passing data. Let's see. Stream online command. Yeah, so I was actually doing something there. I think that was a side effect of something that I hadn't understood before. Let's see here. So when we push the stream online, we send in an empty array. Okay. So that's a little weird. So the problem is that the way that the stream data comes in, it actually, when it comes in from Twitch, it actually has values. So if there's more than one, or if there's more than 0 values, then everything is good. So what I really should do is probably create some named constructors here, because this is not really very nice what it's actually doing here. So let's do push stream online. Let's go to the commands. Stream push online, here we go. So this is the one that changed. It should be like anything to anything else, and that would work. That's all it needed in order for this to actually work. But that seems really bad. So let's do, let's create some named constructors here. So let's do, so we're going to do a, let's do faked start. This is all we really need to do. And so we can do Twitch stream changed. Instead, we're going to switch this to changed faked start. Faked is online. That fits the name better. And then we'll do faked is offline. Which sends in an empty array. So our two commands here would be faked is online And then for push offline would be, rather than sending in an empty array, we would pass in faked is offline. Okay. So I think that should actually make those work now. Let's see if it works. All right, so, did some events here that were failing. Cache. That's weird. Okay, let's try it again. All right, so after we restarted here, so starting the handling of message of Twitch stream changed. So this would simulate either me pressing a button or Twitch actually having their webhooks working and sending in that value. It starts handling it. So it's handling the push stream is online command. Push stream is online. It is finished, so that command finishes. Bring stream online is another command. So this is actually doing something different, slightly different. Publish metadata. So this is the command that we have now that we just created. So publish metadata. So that's actually updating the title. So starting and ending. And then handling message, Twitch stream changed, starting up. It looks like it's doing this again. Why is that? Let's try one more time just to see if it's going to result in a lot of these. Twitch stream changed. All right, so this is where it finishes handling Twitch stream changed. Huh. Looks like it's doing all of it twice. Why would it do it twice? Starting, finished. Must be something weird in what I'm doing here if I copied and pasted it, or so push stream online. So it starts out with Twitch stream changed, which is what we see. Push stream is online command. So let's see it's probably a couple of handlers here for the event. So let's see here. When email registers, when Twitch stream changed, interact with pusher. All right, so for pusher, we dispatch either push stream is offline or push stream is online. So those are commands that we're passing. So here we see passing the command push stream is online. And then we see that finishing. So we actually bring it online. And then we interact with the stream as well. So interact with stream does the same sort of deal. So then we see the stream commands happening. So push stream is online, bring stream online. Bring stream offline. So I wonder if one of these does something that I'm not expecting. So bring string online, offline. No. Online. Am I seeing those? Need to figure out what's picking up something twice. So let's see, publish Twitch metadata once Twitch stream changed. All right, so publish metadata. Is there something that's picking up that? Is this one? This isn't rebroadcasting anything, so let's see. Push stream is online. So this is the one that's picked up twice. Bring stream online. Command buses. So that's not doing anything. Events. The only thing that I'm wondering is if one of these actually results in an additional push or additional command that I wasn't expecting. So if any of these command handlers do something. Nope. This is something I might have to take a look at offline. It doesn't seem like it should be doing it this way. Stream push online. Let's do push offline and see what happens here. See if we see the same set of things going on. All right, so in this case, Twitch stream changed with empty data. So push stream offline, push stream is offline, finished. Starting bring stream online, bring stream offline. Publish metadata, publish metadata. Finish handling Twitch stream changed. I wonder if this is just displaying in a weird way. So this might be just showing these are being queued up. Since it's dispatching its own things here. Because this push stream is offline, it's happening here, but we're not actually getting that output up here. And actually, let me do this, because I think this will probably clear it up. Yeah, okay. So it looks like it's just a little bit confusing here. So it's not actually doing these events. These from starting handling, finish handling, those are actually these same sort of messages where it's adding them to the queue. So the messenger is handling it, so it starts handling the message, but what it does is it handles it by routing it to wherever it needs to go. So I think this is safe. I think this is good to go. a lot of stuff. Okay. All right, so the end result then is that we should be able to get this stuff working correctly. So get status. Okay, I'm gonna have to update the stuff on the actual server, but I think that means that tomorrow we can probably actually deploy this and see this code actually updating the information on Twitch accurately for what we're actually doing tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited about that. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to jump on chat and let me know. We also have a Discord channel if Discord's your thing. Otherwise, find me on Twitter. Thanks again. Have a good night.